Sanjaya vacha ityaham vasudevasya partasya cha mahatmanaha sambadami mam ashosam adbhutam ramaharshanam.
Sanjaya said, "Thus have I heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end."
Vyaspasadas chutavan etad gruyam aham param yogam yogeshwarat Krishna sakshat katyatak swayam.
By the mercy of Vyasa, I've heard the most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna.
Rajan samsrita samsrita sambadami mam adbhutam keshvarjano punyam rishami chamuhuramahu.
O King, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure, being thrilled at every moment.
Tatcha samsrita samsritya rupan ayadya bhutam hare vishmayo me maharajan rishami cha punak punak.
O King, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again.
Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partha Danordara, Tatra Shir Vijayo Bhutir, Dhuvanitir Matir Mama.
Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion.
That's in the 18th chapter, the conclusion, the perfection of renunciation. Om Agyanam Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiva Sakans Vitam Scha Hey Krishna Karna Sindho Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishubhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Trubhyascha Kripa Sinubhyevacha Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranityananda Shadwaiti Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I'd like to thank you all for coming and reciting the Bhagavad Gita. It is said that there are 1 billion or 10 billion verses in the Vedic literature, and the 10 billion verses in all the Vedic literature are summarized in the Bhagavad Gita. So if you recite the Bhagavad Gita, then you're reciting, it's as equal to reciting 10 billion Vedic verses. And out of all the verses in the Bhagavad Gita, the middle 6 chapters are the most important, from the 7, which is knowledge of the Absolute, to the 12th chapter, which is devotional service. And out of all those 6 chapters, the 9th chapter is the most important. And out of all the 9 verses in the 9th chapter, the verse, Madmana bhava madbhakto, madhyaji mam namaskuru, mame vaishasi yuktaiva atmanam matparayanaha, is one of the 2 verses in the Bhagavad Gita that are repeated twice. Krishna also has repeated that same verse in the 18th chapter, 1865, Manmana bhava madbhakto, madhyaji mam namaskuru, mame vaishasi satyam te pratijane priyosime. The other verse that Krishna repeated twice was Shreyan swadamo viguna paradharma sunustitat Shre dharmeni dinam shreyak paradharmo bhayavaha. That was also repeated in the 18th chapter. But in any case, Bhagavad Gita has 2 main parts of knowledge. One is knowledge of the self, the fact that we're all spiritual beings, and the other is knowledge of the Supreme Person. One who understands that knowledge, Krishna says, that this knowledge, api ched sarva papebhya, sarvebhya papakritamaha, sarvam jnana planevaiva vrijinam santarishasi. Even if you're considered to be the most sinful of all sinners, if you're situated on the boat of transcendental knowledge, you can easily cross over the ocean of material miseries. Therefore, at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna asks Arjuna, Kachede tatshutam parata, tvaya kagrena chetasa, kachedagana samoha, pranatas te dhananjaya. Have you heard this with a mind and attention, and are your illusions destroyed? In other words, our progress in spiritual life simply depends upon our willingness to give attention to the message coming from Krishna. As soon as one can hear the message of Krishna, then one can actually realize the message of Krishna. Jnanena tu tad agyanam, yesham nashitam atmanaha, tesham adityavaj jnanam, prakashiti tatvaram. One, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, just like the sun lights up everything in the daytime. Tad buddhayas, tad atmanas, tad nishtas, tad parayanaha, kachantyapuna avritim jnana nirduta kamashaha. Or one's faith, mind, refuge, and intelligence are all fixed in the Supreme, that one becomes completely cleansed of all misgivings through complete knowledge, and thus proceeds straight on the path of self-realization. In other words, if we engage our faith, we engage our knowledge, we engage our intelligence, we engage our senses in the service of Krishna, gradually we'll realize that Krishna is who he says he is. Namely, he's the Supreme. Vidya vanaya sampane, brahmani gavihastini, shuni chaiva swapake cha pandita samadarshanaha. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with an equal vision the learned and gentle Brahman, the cow, the dog eater, and the elephant. In other words, now that we're in material existence, being dictated by our material senses and mind, our tendency is to view the world as a place for exploitation, for sense gratification. But if one understands Bhagavad Gita, hears it, then one will respect the world as being Krishna's energy. And instead of utilizing the material world whimsically, thinking that by some arrangement we can gratify our senses, instead one will think that by some arrangement that I can try to work in such a way is that Krishna is pleased. And at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains what pleasing him is. Ya idam paramam guyam madbhakteshva bidashuti bhakti mai param kritva mame vaishatya samshayaha. That one who preaches the message of the Bhagavad Gita to the devotees, devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he'll come back to me. The cha tasmad manusheshu kaschin me priyakritamaha bhavita nachata me tasmad anyak priyataro bhuvi. That in this world there's no servant more dear to me than him, nor in the future will anyone be more dear. In other words, Krishna wants everyone to understand that he's God and that we're all by nature his servants. And forgetting that, we've been placed in the illusion under the three modes of nature, and therefore we find ourselves sometimes in happiness, sometimes in distress, and generally in a combination of both. But one who becomes conscious of Krishna realizes the source of actual happiness and knowledge and can be situated in that consciousness forever. Therefore, it's recommended that one read Bhagavad Gita daily and at the same time take up the spirit and the message of Bhagavad Gita, which is to become Krishna conscious and help others, whether it be our family members, our relatives, our friends, or even people we don't even know, somehow or another become aware that their real identity is Krishna's servant, and only by engaging this material energy in Krishna's service is there any possibility of peace and happiness. So we take up that message, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Yari Deka Tarikaha Krishna Upadesh Amara Agai Guruhana Tare Desh. That whoever you meet, you should somehow or another try to tell them something about Krishna, and this way become Guru and try to deliver this fallen civilization. The Bhagavad Gita is only 700 verses, but if we study it, then we'll realize things as they actually are. Utkramantam sitim vapi bunjana vagunanvita vimudo nana pashanti jnana chakshusha. The foolish, they cannot understand how the living entity quits his body or what kind of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But those whose eyes were trained with knowledge can see all this clearly. So if we train our eyes with knowledge, this is the greatest education, more than a Harvard PhD degree. If a Harvard PhD professor does not know the difference between himself and the body, according to Bhagavad Gita, he's on the same level as a Gokara. Akara, a cow and an ass. But one who can see the soul is in an ever-changing body, and the soul is the servant of Krishna, he has the greatest education in this world, better than any other mundane education can give one. And this is all available in the Bhagavad Gita, and if we can't read Bhagavad Gita daily, at least we should chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And that's the essence of the philosophy. Oh, the energy of the Lord, oh, the Supreme Lord, kindly engage me in a loving service. So, thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Krishna Jayanti ki jai, GIta Jayatanti ki jai, Gaur Premanande.